What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading Investing. Wishing you all well. Hoping you had a great weekend. Looking forward to starting this new week with you. We're beginning right now our live stream for the upcoming session here during New York. We're currently about a half hour before US equities open, and it has started coming into the session as pretty quiet. Looks like New York is picking it up right now. We're going to take a look right now and see where the opportunities lie and the state of the market. I'm going to give a moment here to welcome everyone in. Blair, what's going on? Hope you had a great weekend. And there we go. All right. So when I came in this morning, the first thing I noticed that everything was pretty much unchanged. Not too much movement. There was the British pound was the strongest. The Japanese yen was the weakest, but not much of a movement anywhere since I've seen. You can see here this big candle on the euro US dollar. You can see the dollar buying has, as soon as New York came to their desks, has come up a bit. Gold remains bid. All right. Crude oil off a lot. And U.S. equities are going to be opening, it looks like, completely mixed, almost unchanged for the day. Bitcoin is down very little after that nice weekend it had, breaking 10K on Saturday night. And you can see here, as the price is now just hitting into this area of support over here, it's consolidating nicely and back up a little bit here. And you can see that even if we get a retest of this 9,400, that might be a fantastic place to lean into. Again, look to buy off all supports right now. Just build in your position slowly over the next 5-6 months. Nima, Steve, Maria, Royal. Good morning, everyone. If you noticed over the weekend, I did a little bit of let me pull that up for you as we're getting to work over here. Let me follow the dollar. As we're coming into a nice area over here this morning, let's see what they do with it. All right. What I wanted to show you all this morning, we took a little poll over the weekend about getting some type of community chat platform going. So far, 57 votes, and we have about 78% of the people saying that they would prefer Telegram. We're going to be looking to set that up early this week. I was just wanted to take a look at the results myself right now. All right. Now, as far as the state of the market going into the session, we're about to get a real feel. We're going to do a top-down approach today. It's Monday, although we got ahead this weekend and we did our weekly Forex forecast and analysis. That was done off the daily time frame. Want to go ahead and now take a look at everything on the 8-hour time frame, get a feeling for what's developing, what's setting up. I know coming in, everything was mixed. It looks like things are picking up. We've seen a lot of volatility the last few weeks. I expect that's going to continue. As far as what's going on, as far as what's going on in the markets, as far as the coronavirus, it looks like China is doing its best to return some movement to work. Factories have to have a lot of safety measures in place. They're slowly trying to get people back. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are definitely staying home. As far as the overall state of the coronavirus, it's too soon to tell anything. We had cases on Sunday retrace a little bit and then pick up again today. Cases in Japan are now about 150. They're growing from, we were at less than a week ago, or about a week ago, we were about at 25 cases. So we'll keep monitoring the situation here. Nara, What's going on? All right. All right, just monitoring stuff a little bit myself. All right, let's kick it off. Let's start here with the DXY. Let's really get into our analysis now. I'm going to pull up the 8-hour. By the way, before we do, checking out the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. This is actually DJ was the one who alerted us to the head and shoulders. We had the trend line in, and it looks like we're breaking now this morning. You can see the break here on this candle during London. Excuse me. Let me pause for 1 second. Apologize for that. Let me turn my alerts off here. Little do not disturb action. All right. So it looks like we've broken down through the neckline here during London, coming up now and testing a little bit of that broken line, that resistance. Let's look at this on a small time frame. I want to get a look. This looks really interesting to me. This is worth me taking a look at. You can see over here. Let me start drawing in some levels for you. So where do you entry? I'm going to look at it in a minute. As far as stop loss, right? That looks pretty easy above this local high over here, which should be above the trend line. You know, you're wrong right away. I wouldn't even be looking to take profits here. I'd be looking to see how price reacts over here. All right. So nothing yet. Okay, I'm not taking the entry yet. I'm just looking at it right now. All right, let's go through. So we have the DXY right now coming up, and it is still not really retraced. This was going back to Monday of last week over here, and we've been straight up. Even looking at the 8 hours, you've put in a couple of down price bars, of red ones over here, but it has not had much of a retrace. We're coming up over the last hour in New York, and it looks like we're coming in towards the next resistance over here. It's difficult to trade in the fact that obviously I'm not looking to buy at this moment, but you know, as well as I'm not looking to short, I'm just waiting it out, waiting for price to reach its level where we do get some kind of retrace in the US dollar. Gold looks definitely very healthy, and once again, bid, it's trading again close to the highs of the week, and you can see it opened up right around this price yesterday during Asia, and we're back to 1574 right now, looking good, healthy, and bid. Yeah, volatility is phenomenal these last few weeks. That's for sure, and I sincerely think it's something that's going to continue. I don't see it tapering off. Again, we've been through a few years of pretty low volatility, and usually what happens is you go from that contraction to expansion. So I think things are just getting started here. This is really nice. Someone was talking about the very simple and easy profitable strategy and trading on the 15-minute and saying it was working out really well. I need to get back to them. That was on the Forex Factory forum, because the reason that's working out so well right now in the 15-minute is because of the volatility. You need to be really aware. If the markets were not as volatile as they are now, they would be very tough with lots of stop outs. Right now is you could drop down a little time frame if you wish. It's not volatile enough that I would be trading the 4 hour. The only time that the 4 hour has outperformed the 8 hour for my style of trading was during the crisis itself. It was during October, November of 2008. Looking here at the US dollar, Japanese yen, again, coming off of this resistance. This is a 5-year trend line up here, coming back down under. I don't think this whole coronavirus thing is yet out of the woods. I think that we're going to see a further escalation. It's just a question of when. The Chinese government, the Chinese central bank, injected more liquidity yesterday. I think that's why we saw a little bit of mixed reaction. I'm just waiting for the next flame to ignite. Let's see. US dollar, Swiss franc. This looks lovely to me as the dollar is coming towards some resistance. We just saw it here on the DXY. And now we have here the US dollar, Swiss franc coming into this nice resistance over here. You could see it over here. Now you do have a pretty big swamp to pay on this pair, so you need price to be moving. You don't want to get stuck in it, but as we come towards this resistance and dollar is coming to a point of resistance, this looks like something worth watching. Let's see if it's the best setup of the day or the not. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Looks kind of mixed to me. I don't see an edge over there or anything worth getting into. Euro, Swiss franc, euro's coming off quite hard again. Swiss franc remains in control on this slow bleeding downtrend over here. But again, not much of an edge. Hernero, you picked a good pair this morning. That I think with the pound being the strongest, and just be aware, pound traders, you have tonight the GDP readings, primarily GDP readings coming out for the UK, and then we also have which will be tomorrow night. We have the New Zealand Central Bank rate statement and press conference. They're expected to be on hold. Also, this big movement in the pound, New Zealand dollar today. Both of those have high impact news events within the next 24 hours. But there was a lot of movement on the pound today. You took it, see here, pound doing some damage off of the support against the New Zealand dollar. Saw that the pound Japanese yen was pretty active since last night, about I guess 0.4%. Let's try to get a lower time frame over here. Yeah, it looks like it's met some resistance right up here. You can see this area of resistance right over here, and is since reversing. That looks pretty clear. Again, you have a high impact news event for the out of the pound tonight. I noticed that the Canadian dollar was the weakest today versus the yen. Let's take a look at that. But the yen pair, I mean, everything is very mixed. Look over here on the right, you can see the percentages. We have the euro British pound is the biggest mover on the day. That's a surprising one. All right, with the pound making some nice gains against the euro off of this support over here. Extend this of that resistance, extend this support down over here. You're kind of in no man's land right now. Aside from that, the pound US dollar was the biggest mover to the upside. You have some nice resistance above though over here. Again, tomorrow will be a better opportunity to take a look at the pound if that news is out of the way. But everything outside of the pound is almost unchanged on the day. Almost unchanged on the day. All right. So it's quiet out there. It's definitely quiet out there. I'm looking for things to pick up this session here. Let's see what they do with it. Yeah. Pull this up for you, Steve. Steve, I don't think anyone, I literally don't think anyone in the world is believing the data out of China, and I believe everyone believes that all that data is managed. So the thing to do is watch the cases outside of China. So over here we have all the cases in China. So it's to watch these cases. And again, Japan has gone from in 1 week 25 cases to now 156. Singapore has gone from roughly 25 to 45, so almost doubled. But the US has only added 1 case last week France hasn't added any. Germany only added 2. The UK's cases doubled overnight, so that's worrisome. Canada added 2. So right now, outside of China, things so far are pretty manageable, not worrisome yet. Now, China's going back to work though this week. We're trying to see some more movement. The worry that we have to look out for is seeing 2 things: is if there's a second wave of escalations in cases inside of China, and then continuing growing in the rest of the Asia region. And if this continues, the cases continue growing in throughout Asia, they're eventually going to start spreading and growing throughout the world as well. The other thing we need to watch out is how bad this affects not only the Chinese economy, but then the supply chains of Europe and the United States and the rest of the world. And you know, best case scenario is that sooner than later we see the peak. I think it's just way too early. It's way too early. Which is why those who are looking to lean into some further risk off trades, i.e. the Japanese yen in the upcoming weeks, there's a good chance we're going to see that happen and take off. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Australian dollar, Japanese yen break down here. Let's take a look to break down this support over here in the coming weeks. That's at least what I'm playing for. The futures have turned bearish over the last half hour, and since then gold is absolutely trading towards its highs now. And the dollar is also strengthened considerably over the last hour. All right, let's see if that continues or not. The euro US dollar is down into the support area. I would say it's between 1.927 and 923. And if you look at the daily time frame, though, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going on its 6th down day in a row. That's pretty rare for the euro US dollar. That's pretty rare occurrence. So that's not to say that you can't have a down day today and tomorrow. Look over here, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down days in a row. That's not to say it can't continue, but it's definitely difficult. Steve, we have tomorrow the New Zealand dollar rate announcement. They're expected to be on hold. Just be aware. Again, markets are forward-looking creatures. US dollar has been strong. US dollar is coming into the resistance over here. Nice trade over here if you were short since the break of the support over here. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Like the Australian dollar, looks ugly. Coming into the support area over here ahead of the central bank announcement. All right. So it's almost as if the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar are a little bit of partners. Australian dollar rejected again above this trend line resistance over here overnight and currently coming off. Canadian dollar leading to the downside as far as yen pair. No, it's New Zealand dollar, and the euro is very weak today. Very weak. I don't see any intraday opportunities. I don't see any swing trade opportunities just yet. I feel like the market needs to get a feel this morning of what's going on. I guess the unchanged is just reflective of just uncertainty. The market doesn't really know what to do with the whole situation in China. And we're just kind of like floating by this morning. Pound definitely in effect everywhere. let's look at the pound US dollar as we come into this area of resistance over here. First, let's take a look at that area of resistance. I think the closer we get up into it, this is on a strong dollar that the pound is making these gains. That's something to pay attention to. The dollar strength continues, but we do have a stronger pound today. Euro is lagging so far going into the session. Euro is weak against everything. I think the Japanese yen was the weakest, but it's looking to me now that that's the euro that's the weakest going into this session. Yeah, I'm looking at TradingView chart. Up here, you can see tradingview.com. It's a free charting platform. I use the Pro service, which offers custom timeframes. I trade primarily off the 8-hour. Guys, I'm trying to get a feel. I feel a little flat today, but that's not me that's flat. It's the market that's flat. And the market is flat, and I can't help but recognize that. And not only recognize that, I have to trade in step with that. US dollar, Canadian dollar is remains bullish above this support over here, but you could see this resistance above, and the dollar is also coming into some above resistance, right? So oil remains under deep pressure, has to be weighing on the Canadian dollar, and I think we're going lower in oil, regardless of what happens immediately in China. The demand is not there, and I think we're going lower in oil. So going back to the US dollar, Canadian dollar, as far as trading it. Oh, Prince, the question was on the daily time frame. I personally do not like to trade off the daily time frame. You could see that coming into this resistance over here. A lot of for two things. A lot of retail is short this pair. There are a lot of retail over I would say 93% is short this pair, but they are coming into resistance over here, and odds are we'll be rejected by it initially. Whether or not after coming up all this way, we're taking out 1-2 strong resistance areas, which are now support, we're going to take out a third without a pullback. Most likely not, but I wouldn't lean in short here against this. First of all, you have a really, really weak oil trend weighing on the Canadian dollar, a very, very strong US dollar. The best thing to look for is one of two things: is either a pullback towards this support to see how price reacts off of it, or wait for the break above this resistance, and then for price to firm up against the broken resistance as support and go long. Today, it looks like we're coming into some strong resistance, and we should and hopefully do see a little bit of a pullback. But as far as fading that, that's fighting the really strong dollar and the really weak Canadian dollar. So I'm not looking to do that. But as far as trading off the dollar, 100% you could trade off the daily time frame. I don't like it personally because moves are a little if you're trading small, it's not so much a big deal. You have to trade your position size accordingly. I just feel like the 8-hour gives a much better advantage breaking things down into the 3 sessions we trade. You get much more precise entries, in my opinion, than on the daily. And it's very easy and manageable to trade with only 3 signal periods a day. One of the clear things so far, gold remains bid, and that's with that strong dollar. I'm wondering, is the euro going to push down further into this support, or is it going to find a nice bottom over here? Again, outside of the British pound, which is having a pretty good day, and all British pound pairs accordingly are moving about a half percentage. Everything else so far is pretty flat. I do see a little bit of the Japanese yen was the weakest going into the session, showed a little bit strength over the last hour, but now that's coming off a little bit. Everything is flat and mixed. The market seems to me to be pretty undecided. As New York enters on a Monday, though, that could definitely change pretty quickly, and that's what definitely aware of and looking out for. Andreas, YSL, we see this morning for the last hour. We saw definitely, look at this candles over here on the 15-minute. A lot of euro weakness here. I don't want to say dollar strength because it's mostly just against the euro that we saw this big move. All right. Absolutely on fire. Absolutely on fire. We're coming into, let's look at the dollar from a little bit bigger perspective here. We still got a little whiles to go here up to 99.50, which again, that's what we're expecting, a test of there. But um, we've come hard and far pretty quickly, and I guess rightfully so, right? The market's always right, but buying dollars up here, coming into this area, I'm backing off and waiting. It's nice to see the gold though with that strong dollar. Gold again remains stronger than the dollar, and that's very interesting. As far as any targets, I'm looking next for a test of the 1600 level. It's it's a very mixed session outside of the British pound. If anyone else is reading the market or seeing the market differently, let me have a look with you because I want to be there with you. Right now, I just feel the uncertainty of the market, and that's kind of what I'm vibing off of. Gold is a beast. right here, right now, we're at the U.S. equities open. Let's see what they do with it. Let's see if we get further weakness here on the Euro US dollar, or where she's able to put in a bottom this morning. Be careful. This is the time of day where we should see the next move for the next couple of hours. Andreas, that is what I'm interested to see. What happens over there, right? That's exactly what I'm looking to see. That's what you would expect. That would take us to close to 1600. Um, let's see if that's what transpires or not. Do you have and everything is so mixed today. You do have that strong dollar, but the yen is stronger than the dollar. But the yen is also having problems, obviously, with things like the pound. It's way stronger than the euro. It's way stronger than the Canadian dollar. Uh, yeah, I would say the yen is definitely picking up here. Just a little forward looking on the calendar. We have a light week. A light week, just ending with retail sales on Friday. So it's a very light week on the calendar. Uh, I assume the market's going to focus in on the situation in China. Chinese are trying to get people back to work. Um, again, I feel like this is more of a bluff, a game of poker. They just realize that the economy is in a dire situation. They're trying to do what they can to give the appearance that things are under control, so that you don't have these international conglomerates leaving China, heading over to Vietnam or something like that. But watch when for the kids go back to school. That's when you know that things are looking better, when the kids start going back to school. Appreciate whoever's here among us. I appreciate the thumbs down. I appreciate you sharing your opinion. It's all good. I know that I apologize that I'm not here and not entertaining you or something like that. But definitely get out of here. You know, go spend your time elsewhere. I mean, this is a big piece of trading right here, right? You have to know when to sit on your hands. US indices just turning positive on the day. FX is still just almost doing nothing. I'm gonna get some here on the pound Japanese yen, some levels drawn in. This is a pretty good. Oh, we already touched it once today. This is a pretty good resistance to be looking into. The opportunity as we get a second retest here. I might take actually the opportunity to short her over here off of this. My risk will be well defined going into tonight's GDP numbers if by any chance this pound strength continues. Wait for that to appear. I'll take a look at it. I don't think we've looked at the pound US dollar. Let's try to get a better look at it starting on the daily over here. Take a look in a second. Stream is just slowing down my charts for some reason. All right, let me get on the daily. So this was pretty big resistance over here that lasted for a while. And then when we broke up, it held as support for a few touches, and now we're trading under it, right? So I'm looking for price to be rejected off of here on the daily time frame. Let me check out the 8-hour. I'm looking for price to be rejected under this broken support now, which should now continue holding as resistance. You get back above this resistance over here at 1.2964, then you could have a bullish bias on the pound, especially or if and when the dollar finally retraces a little. But until this breaks over here, I'm going to be looking for it to hold as resistance. All right, so you're coming into an inflection point over here. This is an important level. It's such an important level because it held as resistance for 6 weeks. And then when it broke, it's held as support 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 touches. All right. So now it should hold as resistance. And if it holds as resistance and price starts trading off, I definitely like short the pound here. Over the next 2 weeks, the negotiations between the EU are expected to toughen up a little bit. But if you regain this level, you could look to the buy side, especially if and when the dollar does decide to come off a little bit. You might see the pound push a little bit. Definitely with that strong dollar today, you definitely see the yen gaining on it, right? A little mixed. It's actually unchanged on the day, hugging this line of support. This is a big resistance area above. Dollar, don't forget, is way overbought. I call it overbought. It's overbought. So I would not. I mean, I edge here towards the yen at this moment, coming off of this resistance over here. Once we get below this line of support over here, I think the yen will try to make some gains here. Tesla coming back. All right. Now it's getting interested. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for it to come back up here. Interesting beast. Those Tesla solar panels, I saw Elon tweeting about them this weekend. They look beautiful. How nice would it be to have the Tesla battery packs in your garage, the solar panels on the roof, and being able to go off the grid? I hope those work out. Yeah. And so if you're using the, I I don't know, I think it's called the Pro account. It's like the first upgrade here on TradingView. You could just go down and click 8 and then hours and then add for TradingView. And then as you got Rec just mentioned, if you go into the videos here on the channel, um, actually I'll include the link. There's a video on how to make the 8-hour trade charts on MetaTrader 4, and the download for the indicator attached to the video. Very easy. And that's my fault. I need to include those in the description. The euro, Australian dollar. I assume that the Australian dollar is having its way with the euro today, which is just weak all around. And mildly so, and mildly so. Um, I think this is an opportunity here as we have this little pullback here to look for a long on the euro Australian dollar. The euro has been getting wrecked. How much longer that's going to continue? Well, I think eventually she's going to find her footing. I hope so, unless the market is just seeing things that I'm not. Um, Looking over here where my mouse is, you can see the top over here of this little area that was acting at resistance. And you can see that it's holding at support. If price comes over here and starts making higher highs, I like that to the upside, and I like that trade actually a lot. Anything anything below this area over here is very bullish. And if I were taking this trade, my stop would be below this area of here of support, which would mean to me that if my stop was taken out, I know that I'm wrong on the trade. I would still be giving it a little bit of room in this area over here. And my position size would just be according because of the far stop. My position size would be smaller. Dean, we're going to get it. I saw some new calls on the euro long term for the year for us to test down about 100 pips above the gap, but we'll see. Morning. I'm so sorry. I do need to take a 3-minute break here, but this, be right back. Let's go over the leave you 1 second here on the euro US dollar. She's coming down. Still a lot of pressure on her. All right, all right. Sorry about that. I'll appreciate it. So the indices, U.S. indices opened up down and are now barely positive, but definitely unchanged on the day. But that's a positive sign for U.S. equities opening up down and then turning positive. Euro looks like it's trying to find a footing, and the pound remains a beast, especially versus the New Zealand dollar. Look at this. Let's see if she's coming into any resistance that we see overhead. Looks like there's still about 30 pips or so to the upside before anyone involved would need to be definitely looking to take profits. That looks good though. Yeah, Leonard, we've had this is the so far, if it closes down, the sixth down day in a row on the euro US dollar. I think it's been a little much, but it could be the whole global situation weighing on the European economy. Euro Japanese yen, one of the weakest today. It looks pretty decent right now. See these wicks under the support area over here. If it started resuming to the upside over here, I think that there could be an opportunity long, but then it's a question of, is this the pair that you want to trade? Let's compare it to the euro US dollar. So right now, the yen is down a little long. Excuse me, the yen is stronger than the dollar is this morning. Therefore, the euro Japanese yen has taking more losses than the euro US dollar. If the euro were able to make a turn here, I would be looking for the euro US dollar coming down off of this support area down here, as the dollar is into some resistance over here. I personally think that the euro US dollar is gonna make some more gains against the dollar than the yen if the euro does stabilize over here. No, so we did see a lot of pounds selling last week, and she's taking back some of those gains. Actually, this was on Monday of last week, and the pound just got wrecked all week, coming back up into this resistance over here. Don't forget, it took out this important support last week. The pound, it, pound got devalued pretty strongly last week. It's retracing some of those losses right now, but not even a third of them, and we're below this resistance. For me, I got to get back above that resistance to be looking at the long side. This right now is just a little bit of a retrace of this big move from last week on the pound. So I'm not getting sucked into seeing those pound gains. Sure, if we get some good numbers overnight, then we could take out this resistance level and have a bit of a bullish bid. But right now, just be careful. Euro, pound. The euro's just getting wrecked versus everyone. Definitely, you see the large gains on the pound today, so you're seeing that translated here as well. Um, Towards an area of interest, though, draw it in some horizontal support over here. Tesla now a little bit off its highs. Oh, so tempting. So tempting. I'm surprised Apple's not taking a bigger hit, being that its supply chains are so related to the slowdown in China. The US dollar, Mexican dollar, Mexican peso. Still with that bearish tone to it, and as long as below these resistance level continues to remain weak. Market's still very mixed. Pressure on the euro. Yeah, let's take a better look at the euro, Swiss franc. Lots of pressure. Lots of pressure. Again, this is the euro's been just getting its getting handed to all around. So you do you want to buy this? No, right? Look at this, just that's top left to bottom right, complete downtrend. Is it bottoming here? Who knows? We don't look to pick the bottom, right? We don't buy bottoms. So right now that we've come off of this resistance level over here, this was the place to sell. This is a place to either hold to see if you break down further, which probably is the smart thing to do right now, or to take profits. But as far as, looking to sell further, you can't sell now. Selling was off this resistance over here. If you get back above this resistance over here, then you could look to the buy side. But right now, this just is very, very bearish. Very bearish. But again, you don't want to pick bottoms. You don't want to buy bottoms. You got to get above this resistance area over here to begin even trying to pick a bottom on the euro Swiss franc. You get above here, and then you could possibly look to see if a bottom was put in. But right now, the trade was off of the resistance short, and right now you're holding. Let's look at all three of those. We'll start with the gold. Gold looking strong today. It's up again on this very strong dollar. This is the fourth up day in a row of gold. Is that correct? Yeah, 4 up days in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a look on the 8-hour. So the couple questions in my mind are, you're coming into some resistance right there, where it's kind of like just stalling out a little bit right now, is if the US dollar, which continues to just be a beast, if it starts coming off a little bit and we see a little bit dollar weakness, after, look at this, straight up for 1 week, going on 6 days now. If the dollar starts to retrace and sell off, how does gold react, right? Gold is not being affected by a strong dollar. On a weak dollar, will it then appreciate forward? I don't know. Right now, I think the best thing to do, if you're not into gold, is look for a pullback into this area over here. We held this support last week, right? And then we took out this resistance. It held that support, and so far that's the support. Obviously, this is not really, you don't really want to be looking as a buyer over here. You need to look for a little bit of something, a catalyst to buy off of. This is 4 days in a row up. See what happens down if we get towards this support level over here. You don't want to chase it up. We have tonight out of New Zealand, tomorrow night, we have the central bank meeting with a rate announcement. They're expected to be on hold. Definitely, the Australian dollar is bid here against the New Zealand dollar. So this was pretty strong resistance down over here when price came back above, came into the first resistance, then came back. This tested as support, and now we're breaking back above. It's the upside. There's definitely further. See this blue box? There's definitely further resistance over here, right there, that we're coming into right now. Get above it, and it looks like the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar finally put in that bottom we've been looking for. So this looks like it's possibly bottoming right now. Are people looking to maybe sell off of this touch into resistance? If the resistance held and price was rejected, all right, then maybe you could look at the sell side. So it's a very important level that you have right here. It's a very important resistance level right here. It does look like, and it appears like there's a good chance it breaks this time. Continue watching this. Yeah, and so the way I trade it, and the way I trade it is if there's this resistance breaks, you get the daily close outside of it. I then look for a retest of the broken resistance. I wait for it to hold a support and then buy on the way up. So that's the way I would take the trade if it develops like that. There are, the 10% of the time when the trade gets away from you and you never get the entry, right? But I don't chase it. Chasing the breakout is a much lower probability trade. Euro Canadian dollar is just two weak pairs fighting each other out with the Canadian dollar. Definitely making some nice moves here on the euro. The euro is weak across the board. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of gains also with the Canadian dollar. So my instinct here would definitely be, I like the euro versus the Australian dollar better than the euro versus the Canadian dollar, but I do like perhaps a long here better than against the US dollar, right? I wouldn't short this. I wouldn't short this after these 5 down days over here. It's not as if the Canadian dollar is a strong pair right now. It's a weak pair right now with the oil weighing on it. So after being down against the euro 5 days in a row, the Canadian dollar outperforming the euro 5 days in a row, this move might be coming to an end down here. Let's see if price starts stabilizing around this level or not. Markets are up now pretty nicely, 1/4% and more. Australian dollar still looks pretty in pretty how would you say? It looks like it's in a pretty precarious situation here, trading below. Why don't I have a better, my lines drawn in? Let's check out this chart right here. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier to read. Yeah, Australian dollar looks like it's in jeopardy. That's for sure. This small bit of retrace we're seeing today is possibly leading up to a further selling opportunity. Oh yeah, shoot. If you're watching it, let's say on the 30-minute. Yeah, it could easily get back into this area of resistance all the way up here. You know, you're talking 40, 50 pips above. This is where, if we get back up into here, where I'm going to look to lean into it though. So I hope we get back up into that area. You can see price. You can see over here. You see this, boom, that support. It broke. Now price broke back above it. It came back down and leaning into it. Right? It's possible we could resume up over here. Especially if the dollar finally decides to level out over here, but it's not yet. Dollar's still up on the day. Let's go back to the euro Canadian dollar. You're looking for divergence. What indicator are you using? Ah, is it high probability or not? I mean, nothing's high probability. Euro is just been seeing some pretty strong weakness, and today that's continuing. The dollar is right now trading at its highs. The euro is coming down into some pretty important support over here. Let's see. I want to compare the euro Australian dollar trade to the euro Canadian dollar. So to me, I'm looking at a chart that starts down at the bottom left and is towards the top over here on the euro Australian dollar. I'm not seeing that here on the Canadian dollar, right? The Canadian dollar is definitely towards the bottom half of the chart. So out of these two pairs, I like trading along here versus the euro Australian dollar, right? If this area holds here, if the euro is finally able to stabilize and come over here, I do like this trade a lot against the Australian dollar. Again, I know where my stop is. The same thing on the Canadian dollar. You know, if you're leaning into this bit of support over here that you have right over here, if price were to trade back off of it, there's also a trade too. The stop would actually be much tighter on this trade. My stop would be right here, a little bit higher, right below the low of this move over here. So two very different looking trades. But the euro, you know, it remains in trouble. So if price gets you into either one of those trades, perhaps, but the price has got to show you that it's getting you into those trades. neither, both. I mean, both of those have their particular strengths about them. Neither one is is like shouting, "This is a great setup that you have to take." But Euro's been beaten up. The Australian dollar, um, it has the Chinese situation weighing on it strongly. And they said, going back to the SARS event, and all other big virus outbreaks, is that they tend to have like different waves, and this is only the first wave of the coronavirus. So um, if we do get a second wave of infections where we start seeing, cases increasing, whether that's inside China or worldwide, then yeah, we could see huge risk off moves. Because don't forget, the longer this goes on, the more damage it does, not only to the Chinese economy, but the world economy. We got a daily chart from Hanero. This is a first. Let's take a look at her. Now, let me look at over here too, Hanero, just to give to see what you're looking at now over here. So you're kind of looking for a false breakdown over here. You see over here, all these touches over here. Price broke down over here, and then it was a false break, and then price appreciated greatly. So you have a similar situation over here. You're looking for that false breakdown, and you're looking for that not to hold, right? So where are you looking for a possible retrace into? Let me see these two areas: 6853, all the way up here. That would be a position trade too. An arrow on the daily for a position trade. Um, we're gonna watch it with you and see what develops, but that would sincerely mean everything just, that would be really best case scenario as far as things just taking a drastic change uh, as far as the fundamentals. Since the Chinese going back to work, and then people saying, okay, this was the low, and things from here we're going to see a lot of growth, and everything's going to work out a little bit better. If for me, the way I'm playing it with you is, if this doesn't hold over here, I'm going to be looking to lean it against this trend line and against this resistance over here. Um, yeah, I mean, on the 4 hour here, you get a much nicer view, but this is definitely right, shorter time. Um, you could see price over here resume up and now retesting. And if you continue to come out of there, right, making higher highs than the previous price bars, then you have a nice, well-defined risk. Look, the stop where you put it is beautiful. This trade I like a lot. This trade I could see clearly, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And if that dollar weakness finally comes in a little bit, I think this is a really high probability trade. This is a setup that everyone should take a look at. Yeah, and beautiful. This is a beautiful trade. Wait, with the one caveat, it's a counter trend trade. It's a super counter trend trade, but because of the situation with the dollar, because the dollar is coming off this resistance after being up for so long, it's a counter trend that I could buy into very easily, because you know markets could remain irrational. Markets can remain overbought for an extended period of times, and they can remain oversold for an extended period. But this is very overbought, and you know it would not be unrealistic to see a turn over here. And if that happens, then you could see that the Australian dollar definitely, which has been beaten up so badly, take back some of its losses. It's a counter trend trade, but it's a counter trend trade that I could buy into. And more often than not, in downtrends, you want to look to sell off resistances, right? Um, but not all the time. And this is a counter trend trade I could buy into. Let's take a look at that one also. So this is a counter trend environment I could buy into. Yeah, yeah, no, but it's a good counter trend trade. Swiss. This is Swiss franc, Australian dollar, Aussie Swiss. I'm looking at it backwards. Very similar situation. Heath, very similar situation that we just looked at on the Australian dollar, US dollar, and same exact situation over here. So I have to say I can't. This is the environment that I don't think you guys are wrong at all for going counter trade in, at all. I support it. You don't need to defend it in air. It's a good look. It's in a good trade. It's a good setup. Same thing with Heath. You both of you have well defined risk, and definitely because things are so over. Because the move has been so hard and fast over the past week, for sure you could get some pretty sharp retraces. So, but I do want to watch as this retrace is beginning to be underway. Which of the two, the euro, the Australian dollar? Yeah, both of you good. I hope you both crush it here. Okay, okay. What do you have with the news as far as I saw that the UK was worried that the virus is going to continue to spread as a super spreader from Singapore had entered the country. Is there another update that you noticed or seeing that's happening right now? Well, let me check in here with you all. Uh, Canadian dollar, wait, I'm sorry. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen was weaker earlier in the session. I'm not sure what it's doing right now. Still unchanged on the day. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. I mean, for me, I like selling off. This is a downtrend. I don't see the situation changing. I would like to. I prefer selling any retraces into resistances here. I do like both the trades that Heath and Hernero, uh, are poking around with those counter trend trades on the Australian dollar, Swiss franc, Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm sorry, Australian dollar, Swiss franc, and Australian dollar, US dollar. And I think they both have merit and could work out. But I would lean towards those two on the counter trend than this one over here. I think the euro US dollar is a good counter trend trade now, a place to step in. Um, but I have to say the Australian dollar US dollar looks a little bit more promising. It's definitely trading up today. It's got a little momentum behind it, more so than the euro. You got risk to reward, counter trend, but again, the situation calls for it. Risk to reward going into the resistance is pretty nice. And then, also just be aware you have the Australian dollar is stronger so far than the euro. Although if this area holds over here, um, I'm looking to go long here actually. This last little poke down. It's also a beautiful sign though. If you do see the reversal here, this is not just euro specific. This is dollar specific. You saw the dollar strength coming in this morning as soon as New York got in. And if you see that reversed during the same session over here, uh, and reversed by we start making new lows since this week, weekly lows, then that's a good sign. Then you could breathe a little bit easier in your position, especially reversing within a couple of hours in the same session. Reb, great to see you. Hope you had a good weekend. The U.S. indices, which opened up mixed but down, are now trading up. Pretty healthy. Pretty healthy. Is gold selling off? Gold's holding firm throughout all of this. Gold is just holding firm. It's not being sold. Not yet, anyway. Amazing week. I'd love to hear that. Beautiful. Great weekend here as well. Needless to say, those little ones keep us busy. This dollar reversal is picking up. Definitely picking up here. I'm interested in who's battling out during the reversal. I'm going to jump down to the 15-minute time frame here. It's a battle. So back to England over the UK, they're worried that a gentleman that visited Singapore has since returned to the UK and has infected 4 other people. And they're worried now that, as they call it, a super spreader has entered the country. Uh, they're definitely worried. Um, I don't know if there's any further developments on that aside from that. And even though that was the case, since overnight, the pound has been appreciating this morning, coming up into this resistance. Overnight, we have some big data out of the UK, and I think that's going to be a driver. Daddy daughter weekend is the best, right? Because I have so much energy. It's just always a question of surviving. We went out on Saturday for extended family pizza day with all of the cousins and grandparents, which was phenomenal. And then that night we had our first guys' night in since any of us can remember. It must have been years. It was just, a little bit of barbecue and a little bit of poker. It was well, well, well needed. I have my true trend attached to my chart. I pull it up when I need it, but I trade mostly off of support and resistance. So just of note, just from my observations, this seems to be the move that we're seeing. Dollar weakness. I say dollar weakness with loosely. It's dollars is unchanged. But what I mean by that is I don't see the yen really coming off. I see the dollar coming off here a little bit. All right. I don't see the yen coming off. Um, so what does that look like on the US dollar, Japanese yen? Paint drying, price not really moving or going anywhere. Everything continues to remain pretty much mixed, but you guys are definitely focused. All of you are focused in the right area, attacking that weak dollar, whether it's the euro US dollar or the Australian dollar US dollar. Thank you, Samantha. I had my birthday the weekend before, so we celebrated by taking the kids bowling and for pizza and ice cream. And I can't imagine a better way to celebrate my birthday than just being out with the kids and seeing them having, kids love pizza and ice cream. Come on, right? Just watching them have a good time. So this is the area that's worrying. And again, only 2 new cases in Germany in a week, only 1 new case in the US in a week. UK's cases doubled overnight. Canada's added, it looks like 1 or 2 cases over the past week. Um, so outside of this area over here, things look um, pretty stable so far. Panera, thank you. I stopped counting. So gold hanging in there. Just see, I guess, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you, Martine. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Truly, the imagination and the way they view life of kids is absolutely amazing. All right, so it looks like the euro tried here to make a little bit of break. The dollar so far is saying denied. Australian dollar definitely hanging in there a little bit better. Yeah, let's take a look at all of them, Pedro. By the way, hold on one second. Right on. So this is the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. This is the neckline over here, or this is a trend line, which is also the neckline of this head and shoulders over here. And so far, it's definitely holding up over here today very well. Now, if we are on the 8 hour, start making a lower low overnight, I will be taking this trade overnight. I'm gonna jump in there and see what happens. Now, as long as we're below this resistance, I will do that. If we make a lower low below this resistance, I will do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna, if we get back above this resistance, I'm still just gonna watch the trend line and see what happens. But definitely seeing the Swiss franc taking back its gains, taking back its losses overnight. Price is unchanged on the two. Still looking for that pattern to play out over here though, and we'll see what develops. Let's see. What is CPE? Let's take a look at this from starting from the top. By the way, speaking of birthdays, I know that that I do share my birthday with Blair, and we both got to celebrate last week. So definitely awesome to be able to share my birthday with someone in here, especially Blair, and just wishing him a very very happy birthday as well. So this is a petroleum stock, CPE. Now, I'm not sure about any of their financials, whether or not they're making money or bleeding money. When trading stocks, very important to know and understand. But right now, oil itself is under a lot of pressure, right? Hold on, let me give you the daily time frame. We've broke this important level over here at 51, and it looks like the next stop is going to be around 45, 44. And we're headed there. So the whole energy sector right now, whether you're talking crude, you're talking natural gas, it's all under pressure. It's under pressure because of the demand is dwindling. The demand in China is off by 20%, and that's not going to change anytime soon. You definitely do not want to be leaning in. This is following oil almost exactly. Look at this move over here. Look at this sharp down move, then the small retrace, and then back down. And then just take a look back at crude again. And on the daily, you'll see the same exact pattern. Here it is, almost exactly. Look, down, slide up, strong down, slide up, back down to the low. Here's the same exact pattern. It's tracking oil, or oil is having a strong effect on it right now. And again, I think we're going down to 45, 44 on crude. So just be aware here. If you're looking to buy into this, give it some time. Give it a lot of time. This doesn't look good at all. I think you're going to see some more downside to this. Riyadh, what's going on? Hope you had a great weekend. I do not wake up for London. I trade on the 8 hour. I place orders late into Asia to trigger overnight during London. Most of my entries come during London, not during New York. I also trade New York as a live session. I avoid Asia. outside of a central bank announcement, I avoid Asia. Not only central bank announcement, but a central bank where, for example, a Bank of Japan is looking to institute quantitative easing, something like that. There's going to be a live rate cut out of the Bank of Australia or New Zealand, something like that. Um, holding holding the euro US dollar over the weekend, so worked on your favor. We're now coming down into the support area, right, between 1.0923 and 27. It looks like we're into a support area. The dollar in towards resistance over here. We're 6 days down. If we close negative today on the euro US dollar, that's a lot. This looks like an area to take some off, to take your profits. Whether or not you're looking for a rise above the high of last night, which came in right here, where I have that. Well, this is resistance right now, where I had that support line. If you're giving your trade room, then you can place your stop above here. Or if you're focused on a lower time frame, wait for price. See, on the 1 hour, we made a higher high. We're backing off now, but I don't know. If you short the euro US dollar, what are your take profits? What levels are you looking for? I would like to be looking at that as well, so I know. Yeah, I mean, Pedro, what happened was obviously with the coronavirus, which was kind of a black swan. Everyone didn't really plan on it. If that didn't happen, we were all expecting higher oil prices, as we would look for this year going into the presidential election, the phase one deal being signed by China and the US. We were looking for some continued stable global growth, but this coronavirus has thrown a wrench into everything. And depending on how it's resolved, we could see much lower prices. Where are we looking though? Where are you looking for take profits, Reb? I want to be aware of those levels. All right. Thanks, Reb. I appreciate it. I want to be aware of all levels myself. So questions come up twice this weekend from people wondering if what is my view on crypto, considering the coronavirus and how it's going to play into the equation, maybe specifically if there's actually a market crash. And forget crypto. When it's time for us to get into crypto again, I'll make that known. But as far as Bitcoin, it doesn't change anything whatsoever. It doesn't change anything whatsoever. We're playing, as those you've been following know, as far as the 4-year halving cycle, which is approaching around the beginning of May. Looking for price to be around 11,400 going into May, around there. Of course, it could be off, but by $1,000 either way, up or down. But from there on, we should be entering within the next 3 to 6 months after that the bull phase, the bull mania, taking out the $20,000 high put in December of 2017, and then going on well past $55,000, which is where we should be trading afterwards. But we're gonna bypass that to the upside pretty far. But the coronavirus does not change my view on the whatsoever. If anything, as you saw, during that time of uncertainty, gold appreciation, gold, same thing will be happening to Bitcoin. Yeah, Rev, me too. But maybe let's see what happens during the next election in France. I think that's 2022. If France or Germany, obviously, if Italy were to elect a type of government where they could be putting pressure on the EU, that would cause a lot of problems. But if France or Germany were to no longer be on board with the EU, then I think that you're going to see that take profit come into play. I have not. I plan on in the immediate future. As far as immediate future, probably there's some other stuff that I'm working on. Probably after the next 2 weeks, just putting out a lot more Bitcoin related content regularly on the channel in the afternoons. Dollar coming screaming back so far. You see that? And I have down here, and whether you use the affiliate link or not, it makes no difference. But Kraken is a really good place to buy Bitcoin, which I definitely do recommend. Kraken is their CEO. So Trace Mayer is one of the. He was a gold guy, a sound money guy, who got into Bitcoin when it was a quarter. And back then, people like the Dollar Vigilante, he's the one who introduced him into Bitcoin. They were at a retreat in Chile, and Trace Mayer has invested in companies that build out the infrastructure of Bitcoin. And the exchange he invested in was Kraken. After interviewing the CEO, he found out he was the only one that truly understood security. And both of those guys have a phenomenal reputation in the industry, a phenomenal reputation, and definitely the exchange that I do recommend. Um, but as far as missing out, all right, over people missed out after May. So after May's the halving, you have June and July possibly, right? But by September of next year, September and October and November, by then, that's when people could say that they missed out, right? I believe we will be seeing new all-time highs then. And that's when you could say that I missed the move. But right now you have the opportunity and the chance to accumulate Bitcoin. Because to be honest, whether it's at $7,000 or $10,000, it's just that's a great, fantastic entry in the long term. Dollar making a move here towards the highs now. Euro pushing all the way down now towards 21. So Coinbase is very easy to use. Coinbase is I've purchased Bitcoin off of Coinbase before. They have the worst reputation in the industry though. Think of them as Facebook violating your privacy beyond belief. Right. And of course, any Bitcoin that you have the digital hardware wallet, there's Trezor, there's Cold Card, and there's Ledger. I think Trezor is the best. Now if someone has your Trezor, if someone has your actual Trezor, there is possible, if they are aware of the vulnerability and an expert, that they could then compromise that, but not if you use a passcode, then it's impossible. The dollar, let's look at this price action over the last hour. Beast mode. There you go, pushing lower. Beautiful, beautiful trading and holding, Reb, for real. Excellent, excellent work out there. The gold, what's gold doing? Gold is, I mean, you see that dollar pushing right now. Dollar's pushing hard and strong right now, top of the high of the session, and gold is maintaining towards the high of the week. Towards the high of the week, off by a couple of dollars. Gold is just really, really, really bullish, maintaining firm. No reason to be selling gold right here.
US stocks trading top of the session over here. Great chair. You got wrecked. Santiago Capital, milkshake theory. So, I mean, Bitcoin, gold, they're kind of the same thing right now. You're not really looking for a buy entry here on gold. You're waiting for it to pull back here into a support to look to lean off of for a buy. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks super, super good, super healthy, obviously. Anything above 9,400 is just uber bullish. You could look to lean into there if we go down there as the first nearest support level. Let me change this. There's no reason to FOMO in and chase after Bitcoin to the upside right now. It's not going to get away from us, meaning you're not going to see Bitcoin trading all right. Let's see. There are some people before May looking for Bitcoin to be trading at all-time highs. That is well outside my thesis. I believe we're going to be trading around 11,400. All right. I said that over a year and a half ago. And that was using the past 4 halving cycles as the TXO started increasing, taking the low and the high of that halving cycle, and price on the first 2 halving cycles was exactly in the middle. That puts us at 11,400. So do not FOMO. You don't have to have any fear of missing out on Bitcoin, but you have the next 5-6 months to build a position into it. You don't need to trade Bitcoin right now. We trade Bitcoin. Well, I mean, we did take a trade down here, right? As price came into this over here and then came out of it, we took a trade here and it was a good one. But as far as trading Bitcoin, those opportunities are going to happen during the next bull phase when price is really moving and there's some gains to be had. Look for price to be trading, look for it to consolidate next. It just made it went leg up, and now another leg up. Don't worry for Bitcoin getting away from you. Don't have any type of fear of missing out. Over the next 5 months, just be looking to buy any support you could, position into it. Will there be a retracement? I mean, the best strategy for Bitcoin over the next 5 months is dollar cost averaging, whether it's once a month or every 2 weeks. Don't worry about the prices and just buy. That's the best strategy going in. If you could use your TA, your technical analysis, to get in better, will there be dips into supports? Of course, 100% over the next 5 months. You will see plenty of dips into supports. It's not going to go straight up. Again, that's just the fear right now of missing out, seeing it take the 10K level, 10,000 level. Do not worry. Above 8,500, Bitcoin is just super bullish, right? Could we test down to 8,500? Of course. Could we test 91? For sure. Dollar cost average into Bitcoin over the next 5 months. The dollar pressure continues. Gold maintaining its bid in that dollar strength. Treasure is a hardware wallet. It's like looks like a USB. Right? And so this is held offline. It's a hardware wallet that's not connected to the internet, so that obviously it's not vulnerable. Again, if someone were to have possession of your treasure wallet and they had the ability, which is highly advanced, and the software to do it, there are companies that treasure pays to be able to hack their hardware and their software. Um, but if you have a passcode, then it's impossible to do it. but it is not in the cloud. It is offline. Reb, excellent trading today. Nice hold there on the Euro US dollar. Glad you got another TP out of there. I just saw that. So the way that China is now counting the coronavirus cases is that if someone tests positive but is not showing symptoms, they're no longer counted, which is that seems pretty dangerous. All right. The euro trading at the lows of the day continues to take a big hit. Wow. I mean, so let's take a look. That might go drop down to the weekly time frame just for a moment. I don't know. It's tough. Dollar. So the euro is down again 6 sessions in a row right now, which is very uncommon. Dollar is just been on the tear ever since we had the breakout of this trend line, the test, and then boom, 6 days also dollar is humming. While we're looking for a test of 99.50, how soon that's going to come without a retrace? Well, I don't know. What a move.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we were muted. I really wasn't saying too much. But thanks for noticing that. Dollar obviously continuing to push towards the highs of the days. New York goes to lunch, 30 minutes. I have to say that I mean, it's a mixed day still between risk on, risk off. The only story of the day is that continued dollar strength. We're seeing the equities just loving the fact that some of the Chinese are going back to work, but what happens if all of a sudden that's revoked and we see a big risk on, risk off move in the markets? That remains definitely the wild card to watch out for. See, it's pretty quiet out there. This might be a good place for us to wrap it up for the day. Pretty slow start to the week. I'm glad Reb got that nice take profit on the euro US dollar, but we're still kind of very mixed with the moves coming more in equities than FX outside of the pound. But the pound has some pretty big high impact news event tonight. Euro on the lows. Euro tried to make a small move and was rejected hard and is now trading at the lows of the session. Maybe. Maybe, Blair. I mean, so good. It's not moving, right? Maybe there's a chance now that it picks up, like you said. But the fact that it's not moving and you getting out here now at this time of day is solid, because we're not. Yen is holding in there. Yen pairs have hardly moved on the day, but we're not seeing risk off. So we have no idea. It's a there is a reason why FX is so mixed today, because there's a good reason to be. The edge is not there. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, gold and the DXY, and gold and the dollar so strong and enough is an anomaly, but it's an anomaly that people have been looking forward to happening for a while now. So US dollar, Canadian dollar is, I'm going to give you just the daily view over here, is trading into this resistance over here. You see this area of resistance where my mouse is at the top of this blue box over here? We're back towards there right now. The Canadian dollar has been very weak. This is, you look at oil, very weak, weighing on the Canadian economy and the dollar. And do you want to sell? I mean, you have the dollar super strong also, Canadian dollar weak. So even though you're at resistance, it's not a counter trend trade that I would take. Hopefully what happens, or not hopefully, but it would be nice to see this resistance hold, price to come back down, and then take another look at this support eventually. And if price holds that support, that could be a nice opportunity for long. Or if we do break above here, and then this broken resistance, I don't know why that's marked as support. If this broken resistance holds as support, then we can look, the dollar has come far and fast, hard and fast pretty quickly, and we're expecting it to go higher in the long run. But whether it's going to break here right now and keep going, we have no idea, right? So you're looking to buy the US dollar, Canadian dollar on any moves into support. I don't think you're looking to sell into resistance right now. You don't want to sell, the dollar's strong, you don't want to sell against the dollar, and the Canadian dollar is weak, so you don't want to buy the Canadian dollar, but you want to look for opportunities to buy off the support, or if this breaks, buy off that as support. And Dominic, you're also right. The strong dollar eventually has to weigh on equities, but that might not be up until here. There comes a point, Dominic, 100%, when the strong dollar has to weigh on equities. But then the other thing is are foreigners putting money into the U.S. stock market because they're not going to be able to get a better return anywhere else? And both of those things are also are bullish for the stock market, and it's bullish also for the dollar. So we're on unusual times. We are in unusual times. All right, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful day. The market's mixed. It's not easy, and it's, for me, it's a question of patience and just waiting for that clarity and taking advantage of when that clarity arises. Right now, the market is mixed. Dollar is in beast mode, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and see you tomorrow.